welcome to Late Night Movie Talk, and tonight we're going to talk about Happy Gilmore 2. You have a decent amount of the original cast coming back. You have Adam Sandler, of course, as Happy Gilmore. You got Christopher McDonald as Shooter McGavin. You got Julie Bowen as Virginia Bennett, and this follows Happy Gilmore nearly 30 years after he wins his first Pro Tour. And without obviously spoiling it for the people who do really want to see it, who haven't seen it yet, he is broke, essentially. And the reason that he is broke, again, I won't go into, but hated it. No way around it. I thought they could have handled that way differently, but it is what it is. And so he needs to put his daughter through dance school, who's really good at dancing, and that's her dream, and he really wants to make that happen for her. So he picks up a set of golf clubs for like the first time in 10 years, and he sucks. Like, he is completely out of practice. He's got a lot of shit going on in his personal life, let's just call it. He's going to enter in a tournament, and he's going to win all this money to, send his daughter through dance school. And then he meets this guy named Frank, played by Betty Zafty, and he's starting this new tournament, which is faster pace. It's more exciting. It makes golf less boring, all that fun stuff. And then he sparks this new rivalry between the new league and the old league. So my first issue, I already said, I hated the way they set up why Happy Gilmore needs this money, because he is was the successful golfer before he quit. And the reasons that he is now broke, due to the reasons. And I really wish they would have wrote that differently. And then you get into the cameos, or from the characters from the first movie that you wouldn't really think that would be able to bring him back in, like Ben Still's character. He was the orderly for the nursing home for his grandmother in the first movie. That was really funny, worked out really well. And in this one, he's shoehorned into a very different role just so you can have Ben Stiller back. And they do that with so many different characters. And if that original character can't be in due to them maybe passing away in real life, they have a family member that looks surprisingly just like them, acts just like them, in order to have this, this character or a similar character into the movie, for some cheap laughs, because this whole movie is nothing but callbacks and nostalgia bait from the first movie, because in reality, this movie doesn't really have any good ideas to stand on its own. That's why it's constantly referencing the first movie, because everything that this movie is trying to do, the first one already did it. It did it better. And most importantly, it made you laugh. Not to say that Happy Gilmore 2 doesn't have the occasional good joke. It does. There was one particular joke that I found really funny because of how stupid it was, but it was Happy Gilmore was a clue or a question or whatever on Jeopardy, and that one got a real laugh out of me, I will say. But there's a few more sprinkled throughout here and there, but they also run into where they do the same gag multiple times throughout the movie. Like the new guy played by Benny Zafty, there's a bad breath joke that is, put on throughout the movie. And there's multiple. I don't know. I think at the end of the day, I really don't like what they did with Happy Gilmore's character. And that's, obviously going to affect the majority of the movie for me. And I also wasn't a big fan of the way they handled Shooter. Not the fact that, obviously without giving away, anything if you care, but he does kind of go crazy after he lost the tournament in the first movie. And that part made sense because he was a bit unhinged in the first movie. So seeing him 30 years later, kind of still way not over it. He's unstable. He hates Happy Gilmore, and I was really hoping for um, like a revival in that rivalry in this movie, and you don't really get that. And they bring Shooter in a slightly different way, which I didn't hate it, but I was like, I feel like it might have been a missed opportunity because the route they go, particularly in the last act of the movie, where they're in this, I guess this wannabe tournament. It doesn't feel like a very good tournament, and it's very rushed. That back half, and but it felt like a lot of like one missed opportunity after another. I would have just done so many things differently because at the end of the day, the movie's just not that funny, and that hurts me to say because I'm such a huge Adam Sandler fan, especially his early movies, like most people probably are. I mean, so Happy Gilmore was always one of my favorite movies growing up, like Billy Madison, Waterboy. And I feel like the reason that this sequel doesn't really work is that one, you're like 25 years too late. If you were going to do a sequel, it should have came out in like 1998, 1999. It's just the things that were funny or the style of the humor that worked for Happy Gilmore doesn't really translate from 30 years, before. And these stories weren't exactly written for a sequel. I mean, not to say that you couldn't. It's just they weren't left open for a sequel. And I think most importantly, they don't need a sequel. And so it just feels like another Netflix soulless cash grab or viewer grab in this case. It's just added to the long list of very disappointing like legacy sequels because very few of them really do work, especially when you have 25, 30 years in between, sequels. Think about it. How many sequels do you know that are 10 years apart, 15 years apart, let alone 30 years apart almost, ever really work? That creativity and that fire from Adam Sandler has been gone for a while. He hasn't made in my opinion, I don't think he's made a great comedy. 20 years? Maybe almost 20 years. He's got good movies, got some okay movies, but he hasn't really hit like it out of the park in a long time for me. And Happy Gilmore 2 is really no exception to that for me. So, like I said, at the end of the day, I can live with some of the dumb writing or the weird choices in the characters or what they did with certain characters, but I just can't overlook the fact that I didn't really find you funny in this one. And it sucks to say that. It just seems like the script for this one was just, let's reference the original. Let's do sort of the same beats as the original. And let's just do cheap, jokes that we made up in 5 minutes. But let's not do any of it nearly as good as the first one. I mean, everything that they did was in the first one. So I know a lot of people would be happy just to have more Happy Gilmore. But if I want more Happy Gilmore, I'll just watch the first one. And that sucks. It doesn't help that you have some noticeable absences because of recent, actors passing away. I mean, not having Carl Weathers in the movie, and frankly, Grandma too. I mean, some of the best jokes were at the nursing home or with Chubbs, and so that's obviously going to hurt the movie because you can have some other cameos come in, and there are some good ones. I thought the one with Eminem was pretty funny, and Post Malone was kind of funny too. Like I said, there's some. This thing, everything is just like kind of funny, or just not funny. But having big absences from Chubbs and Grandma not there, it does really take out quite a bit from the story. So that's not exactly the movie's fault, but it's just ugh. and parts of it really were kind of annoying. And I don't even have a rating for this movie. I'm not gonna even rate this movie. I'm just gonna leave off with, suck my white ass, Happy Gilmore. Okay? Suck it. Alright, bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe.